A white professor suddenly discovered something unusual. The new black janitor in his lab was secretly reading his medical textbooks. Seeing how focused the man was, the professor had an idea. He decided to test this eager learner. He pointed at an instrument nearby and asked what it was. To his surprise, the janitor answered without hesitation.
Van Slyke Neal gas manometer, sir, doctor.
The professor could hardly believe it. The answer was completely correct. Next, he asked to see the janitor's hands. After only a moment of observation, the professor was astonished. He handed him a pair of tongs and told him to pick up a test tube. Thomas did it with ease. The professor then raised the difficulty, asking him to use his left hand. But Thomas completed the task just as smoothly. He even picked up a cork and sealed the bottle with a quick twist. His skillful movements delighted the professor. Even the professor's college students were not this capable. The very next day, Thomas was promoted to lab assistant. But when his wife heard the news, there was no joy on her face, because the title sounded important, but the pay was only $12 a week. That was just a third of what he earned as a carpenter. Still, Thomas valued the long-term future this job could bring.
Sweetheart, it's important work, and it's a real opportunity, and I love what I'm doing.
Thomas hadn't applied for this job on a whim. Since childhood, he had carried a dream of medicine. After graduating high school, he worked 7 years as a carpenter. His goal was to save enough money to enter medical school. But one day, the bank where he kept his savings collapsed. All his money was gone. His chance to study medicine seemed lost. Fortunately, through a friend's introduction, he found work at a medical school. The pay was low, but it brought him closer to his dream. He was willing to clean even the dog kennels if it meant staying near medicine. Soon, his talent caught the professor's attention. Promoted to lab assistant, he now had the chance to truly learn. With determination and natural ability, Thomas advanced quickly. Months later, he finally faced his first chance to perform surgery. In a traumatic shock experiment, the professor drew a black line on a subject. He ordered Thomas to follow it. Thomas carried out the procedure with precision. Together, their teamwork led to a successful operation. But when the professor asked for the work records, he found nothing. Thomas, with no experience, didn't know what a recorder was. The professor flew into a rage, scolded him, and kicked him out of the lab. Yet after Thomas left, the professor found his notebook. Every step, every detail of the surgery had been carefully written down. It was far more detailed than any recorder. Only then did the professor realize he had been wrong. He ran after Thomas, apologized, and begged him to return. For the first time, Thomas felt deeply moved. He forgave the professor, and from that day on, they became a team. The professor was sharp like a scalpel. Thomas was steady and precise like a pair of forceps. In their 12th year working together, they made a breakthrough in traumatic shock. Their findings were rushed to the battlefield. Countless wounded soldiers were saved. A general came back from the front to thank the professor in person. He announced that the professor would become head of surgery at Johns Hopkins. But at the celebration, the professor took all the credit for himself. Not a word about Thomas. Still, Thomas said nothing. His only goal was to pursue his dream of medicine. Soon after, they moved to Johns Hopkins. For Thomas, it was the temple of his dreams. In the hallways hung portraits of medical legends. The professor said his face would one day be on those walls. Little did he know, Thomas secretly wished for the same. But when they arrived, the security guard told Thomas to clock in at the back door. He was used to this kind of unfair treatment. He followed the order quietly.